If you want an electric 3-row SUV without any of the stigma attached, but you still want to use its superchargers, this might be the EV for you. This is the Hyundai IONIQ 9. Today we're going to compare it to the EV9, take it on its first drive, and also put it side by side with other comparable EVs to see if this very affordable 3-row electric SUV is worth the price. So Kim was at the unveil of the IONIQ 9 a few months ago, and she's on the other side of the country right now covering the Cadillac Vistic unveil. But since so many of you guys have asked more about this EV, it's about to hit the roads here in the US. I wanted to get a first-hand look. I'm here outside of the Savannah, Georgia Meta plant, and you've got the Spanish moss, you've got the heavy rainfall as you'd expect this time of year.
IONIQ 9.
Yep, it's the IONIQ 9.
What has he got, a turbo 6 or something?
This gentleman pull up and say, what the heck is this? This is a cool car. So it's getting a lot of attention, even here on the roads in Savannah where this is manufactured. People are noticing it, and the shape really stands out. That's really what kind of separates it, is very distinctive look. And this shape, again, Hyundai says, is inspired from kind of a boat or a yacht, like it's got a boat tail sort of rear as well. And I'll go out to the back and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. To me, it gives me very much Volvo vibes. And again, you've got the light bar, the pixels that continue all the way along the back, up the top. That's your third brake light right there. You've got wiper blades that are tucked in beneath that as well. And even the elements here, that's your reverse lights that light up when you back up. And even the reflectors there inspired there by pixels. So that will continue even on inside the cabin. But you see this footprint, almost the identical footprint as the Kia EV9 or even the Tesla Model X, similar in height, similar in width, and slightly longer there than the other EVs, but sitting right around 200 inches. It's got a very streamlined, very kind of slippery silhouette. It actually has the lowest coefficient drag of any of Hyundai's vehicles at 0.27. This is lower than also the Kia's EV9 coefficient drag. So very much a vehicle here that's able to get, and for me, when I've been driving it, seen about 3 miles of range per kilowatt hour. So efficiency for its size, for its footprint is pretty impressive. Notice how that streamed roof line here continues off towards the back. The highest point is actually behind the driver's side. So this gives you the best-in-class headroom, best-in-class legroom, and a third row extremely spacious for what it is, because the third row actually has about the same headroom as the first row. Now you can't talk about the Hyundai IONIQ 9 without talking about this distinctive headlight, the light bar that goes across the front, and the little individual pixels that make up these headlights, and really goes around the entirety of the vehicle to the back as well, where those pixels become really a theme of this vehicle. And notice the pixels all the way across. You've got a very flush sort of Hyundai logo on the front of the vehicle. Down to the side, there goes the headlights that are vertically stacked and additional squared off pixels. Here you can also pick up the pixel elements in the design language that goes over the radar and of course the front facing camera. And below that, these are active shutters that'll open up when the vehicle is in motion, kind of maximizing the efficiency. And this kind of continues when it comes to wheel sizes. You've got options between 19, 20, and 21-inch wheels. Of course, these smaller wheels will give you more efficiency than higher performance wheels that are 21 inches. That reduces your range. And the IONIQ 9 will be available in 9 different paint colors and also 3 different interior colors that we'll get into when we get inside. Notice something on top missing here. This is the first Hyundai to not have that kind of shark fin antenna on the back. It's embedded into the glass, so you get, again, more design efficiency elements incorporated into this particular EV. Now this is the mid-tier trim level, which has this eyebrow that Hyundai calls, which is a color match of the vehicle. If you get into the rear-wheel drive, the lower trim levels, it's actually going to be black colored right here, but it kind of gives it a little bit more texture, a little bit more contrast. This again blends in a little bit better, being the more premium trim in that all-wheel drive category, but that kind of what distinguishes some of the models between other ones. Now this vehicle does have phone key capability, so you can just walk up to it with your phone. It'll automatically unlock for you, but if you want a key fob, also comes with that. And check this out, it's got the Hyundai H, nice clever design. You can honk the horn from it, lock or unlock around the H letter and logo, but on the side of it, you can open the rear trunk. You can make the car summon forwards, summon backwards, in and out of parking spots. Just kind of a motion of forward and backwards, nothing advanced, no maneuvers in that. And then you press and hold this, it opens the front trunk. So that's where they've got the charging cables set up in here. Not a significant amount of room. I can take these out, give you a feel for how large we're talking. The rear-wheel drive version actually gets about 3 cubic feet. This is all-wheel drive, so you get about 2 cubic feet of space, enough again for a few small bags, maybe a small backpack if you don't have the charging cables in there, and that's about it. If you're curious, the EV9 also has 2 cubic feet for the dual motor and 3 cubic feet for the rear-wheel drive, so identical as you'd expect with kind of a sister brand EV. So let's talk about performance, let's talk about range and some of these specs, because that's where I think this EV shines when it comes to 3-row electric SUVs. Starting price on this, $58,000. It does qualify for the $7,500 tax credit. As of right now, of course, the tax credit's still available. It is built entirely in Georgia. You're able to get 335 miles of range. That is rear-wheel drive, 110 kilowatt-hour battery pack. You can go up to all-wheel drive for about $63,000 starting price. The range drops to about 320 miles on that. Or you can go to performance, and that brings your range down to about 310 miles. Starts at $71,000, and the Performance Calligraphy Edition, which is the top of the line edition, again, in the 70s, could even top out at $76,000. But compare that to the EV9, you know, it has a 99 kilowatt hour battery pack, range of 304 miles. So this comes in at the sweet spot where it's about $4,000 to $5,000 more expensive, 30 or so miles more range. But I feel like having driven both of them now, this gives you a little bit more bang for your buck. And when it comes to charging, goes hand in hand with the range, and the price point really makes this a compelling option. Notice again, you've got the little pixels on the charge port. This is going to be motorized. You open it up, additional pixels that indicate your charge status as well. And yes, that is an NACS native charge port built into this. It joins the Lucid Gravity. The Genesis GV70, the Hyundai IONIQ 5, and Kia's EV6 are all rolling out with these native NACS chargers, and that is a huge part of this. Notice this, I kind of noticed this as well. What is this? It looks like a Cybertruck to me with the light bar and the squared off shape. But that is a huge draw for this EV, where you get this native NACS charge port. You also get 800 volt architecture with this, so you're able to tap into 350 kilowatt charging. Of course, supercharger access across 17,000 stations. You bring in charge points, you bring in other DC fast chargers into play as well. So tens of thousands of chargers available for you, where you can charge this from 10 to 80% in about 22, 23 minutes or so, which a very compelling feature when you have that natively built in. Now, one thing that stood out to me, at least for the existing older superchargers, is that this is on the passenger side. So you're kind of on the opposite side of where you would be with a Tesla on the driver's side rear area. So the cable reach is a little more complicated if you're pulling up to a supercharger and it's one of the older ones where you've got to find your way, possibly take up multiple spots. We found that to be slightly challenging. So a little unfortunate in that sense that they give you NACS, but with older chargers at least, it becomes a little bit more cumbersome to try to get it to reach if that is the case. Now, EV9s that are being produced later this year are going to natively incorporate the NACS ports into them. The one we tested last year still had CCS, and again, a little bit more complicated when you have to pull up and count on other charging stations. And well, the NACS is really nice to have, but when you factor that this vehicle also has vehicle to load, vehicle to home, it's able to power share, bi-directionally charge, power your home in an emergency. Those are really features that for me really stand out, and I wish other EVs, specifically Tesla, which has all of these capabilities, and I know for them, they sell Powerwall, so maybe that takes away from their market of energy storage, but their vehicles are essentially, 5, 6, 7 Powerwalls on the roads. So for Hyundai and even in Kia's EVs to get access to that, I think that also puts it above others when it comes to at least giving you a little bit more incentive to want to lean towards this EV versus other EVs, if that is kind of a deciding factor for you.
Thanks to 3W for sponsoring today's video. If you guys have been watching our channel for a while, you know that we have 3W liners in all of our vehicles. We've been using them for years, and I personally think they make some of the nicest liners out there. And today we're going to be installing them into a Ford F-150 Lightning. Right away, absolutely zero smell. They're made from high quality TPE material. They're odorless, they're non-toxic. You don't have to air them out or anything like that. They are incredibly premium feeling. They look OEM, okay? I had the Tesla ones in my Model X, and I actually replaced them with the 3W because I like them better. At SEMA last year, we were able to go to their booth and see some of the other liners that they had. They had ones for the Cybertruck, and they had incorporated the design language of the Cybertruck into the liners. They make over 400 different models, and they actually won the Red Dot Award for their designs. But let's go ahead and get these inside the Lightning. So since these are custom designed for each vehicle, there's no gaps, there's no slipping. They're actually made from high precision 3D scanning, so they fit perfectly inside of here. And these grooves are really nice because they trap all kinds of dirt, dust. If you spill water, it gets trapped. Really easy to be able to take them out, hose them off, and then just put them right back in. So check this out, they even have the bolt pattern and it goes perfectly over the bolt. It's just like making a bed. Oh wait, I am making a bed. And remember, they make these for hundreds of different models out there. And when you're supporting 3W and you're buying these, you're also helping to support our channel and sustainable practices. I'll link everything you need to know in the description down below, but let's get back to the video.
Performance models on this, on the base trim that gets you 335 miles, not as impressive as you would think. Rear wheel drive, single motor on that, and that gives you 0 to 60 of 8.4 seconds. You bump it up to all wheel drive, take your price into the lower 60s. 0 to 60 there is 6.2 seconds, and then get into the performance all-wheel drive variant, which is the upper 60s, and then you're down to about 4.9 seconds. So again, you're not getting this vehicle to be a racer, but it is not the fastest SUV on the road, and it doesn't try to be. Definitely matches its competitors when it comes to towing capacity. The rear wheel drive, rear motor, cheaper option, 3,500 pound towing capacity. Get up to all wheel drive, pay about $60,000+, you get 5,000 pounds of towing out of it as well. Okay, let's talk about cargo capacity, because this EV really has quite a bit of it. That is 22 cubic feet of space. Compare that to the EV9, that is 20 cubic feet of space, and then even the R1S, Rivian only gives you 18 cubic feet behind a third row. So really nice touch here to be able to get this much room out of the back. Now, how about down below? A little bit of a well, not much room, maybe some charging cables, and that is about it. But you can fold these down. Just touch of a button right here gets you the third row, goes completely flat. Now behind that second row, with the seats folded, you're up to 47 cubic feet of space. That is identical to the R1S, and that is more than EV9's 44 cubic feet of space. Now, as you can tell, we've got captain seating in this EV here, but you can also fold down the second row as well. This takes you up to about 88 cubic feet of space, which again is identical to the Rivian R1S, but it's actually quite a bit more than EV9's 82 cubic feet of space. So again, you kind of see what I mean by getting more value, more bang for your buck, where you have so much more flexibility, a little bit more room, a little bit more range, and the efficiency on this improves as well. And the cabin space, as you'll see in a minute, also improves. This is perfect for camping. They've actually kind of facilitated a camping sort of inspired setup, where in the back, not only do you have your 12 volt, you've got a 125 volt outlet here on this side to plug in anything even from portable hot tubs, they say, so enough power drawn in from this. And actually the power is drawn in from the high voltage 110 kilowatt system. And then you come back to this side, you even have a button, so if you are camping in here, you don't have to try to reach up and over the top to close the trunk lid. You can actually do it from inside the trunk area right here. All right, we're inside the first row of the IONIQ 9. Right away, you'll notice a very open feel to this cabin, even on the steering wheel here. No typical H or Hyundai logo as you'd find in the steering wheel. You actually have 4 little pixels that are indicative of your status of the vehicle. So whatever is happening on the center screen, it reflects it there with pixels that light up appropriately on your steering wheel. But also, a little fun fact, those 4 little dots are also Morse code for the letter H. So I guess you could say the Hyundai logo is still in here, but in Morse code. The theme of this interior really from start to finish is all lounge-like, all relaxed, very natural interior. You've got all the touches on here as well that are very rounded, really no hard edges or hard lines. Everything is curved off, and that is where that yacht inspiration, where they say kind of takes shape of a boat or a yacht, that's where it carries over into this cabin, where everything is rounded or spherical in nature. So inside the cabin, a lot of what you see here is eco-sourced or kind of environmentally friendly materials. You find that in a lot of EVs these days, but the seats, they're vegan leather, they are vented, they are also heated, both front and back row. You also have something called relaxation mode for the first 2 rows. So you're able to actually recline the seat entirely, of course, when it's not in motion for the driver's side, but it goes completely flat. The leg area raises up as well, allows you to rest, and that's kind of another element they've mixed into this sort of lounge-like experience with this EV. Check out the center console. It's got a little button down here on the front. It actually slides up to 8 inches forward or backwards, so you can really open up quite a bit of space right here between you and the passenger, give people in the rear access to the center console as well, as there is, I believe, a 13-liter storage area on the back side there. And then in here, it opens up for 6 liters of storage, and also on the back side as well to give passengers access to it. And again, you can slide this all the way back there to give them complete access to that additional storage. The open air feel of this cabin really stands out for me as well, because the glass goes from really right above the driver's seat through the passenger seat in the back, and then even the third row above them. The start of that even gets this glass that activates and opens up as well. So it really opens the cabin up, makes it feel far more spacious than maybe you would think from the outside appearance of this car. A couple of cup holders, of course, you've got a wireless charging pad. Notice the pixels kind of aligned here. This kind of gives you the grip, in addition to pixels down here in a storage area with additional wireless charging pad and another storage bin underneath that. Looking over to your dash area, very unique sort of setup here. Now this is the all-wheel drive trim. It's not the Calligraphy, the top end trim. Calligraphy has more of a branding right there, but I've never seen anything like this. It almost looks like an aluminum foil or some sort of an aluminum setup with a reflective light bar that goes across the top of it. Now, one thing I'm not crazy about is the painted plastic look. It just feels a little bit cheaper than you'd expect. And honestly, this aluminum, I know they've got different trim styles that have different finishes here, but it's definitely unique, but I just don't know. I mean, it reminds me of aluminum foil, so I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm not a fan of it, I guess. Initial thoughts are I'm not a fan of this sort of finish. You can also change the colors to that as well. Door pockets though, the finish here is definitely more premium feeling. I do wish they had some of what is this vegan leather that kind of continued on here. It would add so much more to it. It wouldn't add that much more weight to the vehicle, which I know is part of the reason why they went with, you know, weight savings probably on this side, but this similar finish from here goes there, I think goes a long way. And then you'll notice the rounded edges around the vent kind of going along the entirety of the vehicle here. You have your dedicated buttons, unlike the EV9, which I believe has an HVAC dedicated setup right here in this area. You get two 12.3-inch screens that are curved, one for the driver, one in the center screen. Of course, much like a lot of the EVs with Kia and Hyundai, very responsive and gets all of your controls in here, but you also have a color head-up display right in front of you as well as a driver. The mirror, you've got a digital setup. You can flip it right here and get an actual mirror. You'll notice, of course, I've got my camera mount up there, but you can flip it here, bypass that, and just look straight to the back of the vehicle. As far as the glove box, you've got a latch on top to open it, even a little shelf underneath there, but you can open it up and get a little cubby inside your glove box. On your steering wheel, you've got your driver assist features, enabling those right here on this side. Paddle shifters on top for full regen braking, so you're able to actually increase this to the maximum and get complete one pedal driving. And then on the right-hand side, this is your gear shifter, kind of a unique setup. You do see this in some of the other Hyundais and Kias, but this is not one that shifts up and down like you find in some EVs. This actually, you can twist this right side to put it into drive, middle for neutral, and also down for reverse, and your parking brake is right here on the back side. And of course, you've got an on-off button that's on this gear selector as well, so it's not sort of sit on your seat like you'd find in a Rivian, a Lucid, or a Tesla, where you sit and there's no on-off button. This does have a dedicated button you'd have to engage to turn the vehicle on. 100-watt USB-C ports. All three rows have USB-C ports that go to the back, 100 watts for every single one of these, so powerful enough to power a mini fridge, to power a gaming console in the third row if the kids want to play back there. And what's unique about this, the 100-watt charging is actually derived from the 110 kilowatt-hour battery pack. So this is not coming in from your low-voltage battery, but the power is actually coming in from your high-voltage setup to give you this max power out of the ports. You can project your phone, whether it's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You also have a Wi-Fi hotspot, and generative AI is also incorporated into this as well. So you have voice recognition, you have a Hyundai word you can say that activates that feature as well. All right, let's get into the second row of the IONIQ 9. You see we've got captain style seating here. So this vehicle in North America at least is only available with either a 7-seat option or a 6-seat option, as you see like the one here where you have captain style seating and then 2 more seats in the third row. Now if you get the 7-seat, of course, you get a bench right here, and then you still get that third row, but you can't have it in just the 5-seat setup, at least not just yet. But notice, again, the panoramic sunroof above. This actually, not only does it have motorized shades here that close, but in addition to that, it opens and vents as well, which is pretty unusual for a 3-row SUV to be able to vent the glass, but that does enable it to vent up top. You also have little manual sunshades that you can slide up and down as well. And again, those boat-inspired door handles, very spherical. You've got the nice little pattern and texture with looks like an LED lighting trim that's inside there as well. Cup holders, 2 of them built in the door pockets. You don't see that very often, in addition to more cup holders down on the bottom. And of course, this has the Bose speakers built in, but stepping right inside, the long wheelbase right away, you really get a good feel for it here because extremely spacious in here. And again, Hyundai claims that this is the largest as far as leg room and headroom is concerned. I'm about 5'10". You kind of see the leg room that I have. This is plenty. Definitely feels more spacious than most, even 3-row SUVs here in the second row, especially since you get, a captain style seating here. So you have a little bit more room between you. And of course, this is what we're talking about with that center console that opens both from the front and back. And this is right now slid all the way forward, but if you bring it all the way back, it'll actually come in and almost give you a divide between these two seats. And in addition to that, there is another layer of storage. That's where I think we have about 13 or so liters of storage down below there. One thing you'll notice here with the cup holders, and I've seen this in a lot of modern cars where you've got access to additional cup holders down on the bottom on top of having two up here. Once you close it, you kind of really lose access to getting your bottles out. So it's kind of additional storage. You could put cups or bottles in there, but you're not going to be able to get them out unless you do one of these and open the car door. So there's seat controls right here that allow you to slide forward and backwards. So if you need a little bit more leg room, I guess with the permission of the person in front of you here, you can actually slide them a little forward as well. But notice more 100 watt USB-Cs built in. I love the placement on this. I think as anyone with kids like myself, when you have USB-Cs down here, you'll have kids knocking their legs into it as they're stepping in and out of the vehicle. This really helps it here when it comes to just kind of separating it, not placing it in an area of impact. The second row passengers also get access to their own HVAC setup back here, adjusting the temperature, the airspeed, or even just doing heated or vented seats. Those are all options. Now I mentioned the IONIQ 9 has relaxation seating. That's right here. So on the side, bring an area for your legs up. And in addition to that, lay yourself flat. Now I'm not all the way flat, not here in the second row, but it is pretty reclined here, probably at the expense of the people in the third row. Nice little bolstered setup with the headrest in the second row. You've got the pixels once again carrying on through these seats. Two-tone seats here as well with the heated ventilated seats continuing. And again, you see the footrest where you can get into that lounge experience. So you have three ways to get into the third row. The easiest way, the way that most kids would probably do it, would be to go right through the second row, but there are two buttons, one on top, and then there's a third down there that actually kind of facilitates the entire process. And again, slides it forward, tilts it forward, and then you've got yourself a little bit of the room to step right on into the third row. Once you're back here, just go back to the top, press that button, and it automates the entire movement back to, I think, maximizing the seats there for the second row passenger. But again, you can adjust it further to give yourself more room. But for someone 5'10", third row, you kind of see this is at the maximum amount of room given to the second row passenger. I'm awfully close, not hitting. Headroom is really what's impressive because, see if I can show you the headroom. I mean, we've got at least 4 or 5 inches of headroom or more for, again, someone 5'10". It's not bad sitting in a third row of a full-size SUV. And because this has, again, captain-style seating, you get a nice little open space. So if you do want to put your leg out front a little bit and give yourself more room, that's also an option as well. Now, third row passengers also have the ability to recline. Again, you can kind of owe this to the wheelbase, and notice this reclines an incredible amount of ways back. Let me rotate this. I'm trying to see if I can show it to you. You kind of see a more stacked seat upright versus mine on its back. I mean, I'm getting a very good recline on this third row, which is not something you get access to in most three-row SUVs. And again, with the push of a button, I can bring this third row back up to align it and be more straight up. And again, even at straight up, plenty of headroom. So I would say this third row is probably among the most spacious that I've tested. Three-row electric SUVs, of course, we've done the Rivian R1S, we've done the Model Y three-row, Model X as well, VinFast VF9, and this is probably the most spacious of the three. What's interesting is on the driver's side in the third row, you only get one cup holder, where on the passenger side, they've got 2 cup holders set up back here, one for smaller, one for larger. And again, reclining of your seats, 100 watt USB-C on that side as well. And the tethers there for car seats that are in the front seat. So in this third row, you do have latches on either seat, and even come back to the second row, each seat gets their own latches. So 4 car seats available to be put into the IONIQ 9, at least in the 6-seat configuration. Got access to your drive modes right here in the center console, so I can shift it and go from a My mode to a Sport, Normal, or most efficient Eco mode. And right there on the center console, in addition to that, you can go into the parking features, of course, get your bird's eye view, and there's your backup camera, nice little bird's eye perspective. I just love that a lot of cars are beginning to incorporate that in, because you've got so many cameras, so many sensors, it just makes sense to give this visual perspective as well when you're trying to park into a spot and see exactly how poorly or how well you've parked. You know, first impressions here driving the IONIQ 9 outside of the Georgia Meta Plant near Savannah, and Honestly, it feels like you're in a lot lower of a vehicle than a full-size SUV. The ground clearance on this is 7 inches. There is no adaptive air suspension, so you're not increasing or decreasing it at all. So it does feel like relatively low for being a large SUV. The largest footprint when it comes to 123-inch wheelbase of any Hyundai on the road. It is best in class for when it comes to headroom and legroom, so it feels extremely spacious on the inside. But just an observation that when you're in a Model X even, or certainly in a Rivian R1S or a Kia EV9, it does feel like you're higher up on the road than this particular one, where it's kind of more of a crossover feel when it comes to its road or ground clearance. I've got to talk about how quiet this cabin is. I'm really impressed by that because, of course, we're driving at highway speeds. It is raining outside, and all at the same time, feels relatively quiet. I will say the acoustics of it are incredibly impressive. I know that Hyundai's kind of gone the extra mile when it comes to soundproofing this cabin. You've got double laminated windows and glass all the way around. You've got foam lining inside the tires, which you find in a lot of EVs now, which help with the acoustics, but they've even introduced active noise cancellation in the wheel wells, where they're able to dynamically feel the resonance and the vibrations on the road and offset that via the speakers inside the cabin. So you're getting kind of a noise cancellation effect inside of this cabin, which, again, at $58,000 starting price, that is a nice feature to have. I know the Model X has active noise cancellation. Starting price there takes you well into the 70s, so it definitely, it's a nice feature to have at this price point. But you kind of get a sense for it. I'm going about 60 miles an hour right now. The rain has finally stopped. And I mean, it's pretty quiet. I would say it's quieter than our Model X. Our Model X is a 2022. It's got the active noise cancellation with it. And I think this is a quieter vehicle. But anytime I see these EVs, every time a newer model comes out, our Model Y, for example, considerably quieter than our previous Model 3. So every new model year, that's one area I always see dramatic improvement, because with these EVs, of course, you're not going to have engine noise masking anything. So these refinements, whether it's on the glass coating or inside the door itself or in the wheel wells in this case with active noise cancellation, those always evolve for the better with new model years. There is a little bit of body roll. I mean, I'm at highway speeds, giving it a left and right here, and honestly, even after a second or so of stopping, you still feel the vehicle oscillate back and forth a little bit. But as far as imperfections on the roads, you really don't feel any bumps. I'm going over some bumps right now here on highway speeds, and again, plays that pretty well. When it comes to some vehicles at this price point, again, starting price at $58,000, you don't get air suspension, but there are some vehicles that in the upper 50s, in the lower 60s, they begin to introduce some sort of dynamic or air suspension, so it does improve some of that stability concerns at highway speeds. But, generally speaking, those vehicles are into the middle 60s and low 70s, and this vehicle certainly gets up there if you get into the Calligraphy edition and get into the highest trim models. One thing that I will say maybe a little bit more disappointing is Hyundai's approach in autonomy and getting beyond level 2. This has level 2 driver assist features. You can engage it here, and you've got a head-up display that lines up your vehicle and even changes lanes for you as well. But it's not exactly level 3, and they didn't have really any guidelines of where they are with autonomy. So autonomy didn't seem like it was a big part of their long-term outlook for this vehicle just yet. I mean, maybe it comes in with some sort of implementation over the air, but as of right now, it performs pretty well on level 2 on highways. No surface streets. Some surface streets you can get it to engage, but certainly doesn't perform as well as I would say Super Cruise or certainly Autopilot or full self-driving, where you're able to engage it in almost any scenario. As far as safety is concerned, 5-star safety ratings is what they expect. Again, as most EVs, you've got a crumple zone in the front. You're able to really lower the center of gravity with the battery pack down below, and also act as a layer of rigidity, so your vehicle is able to protect you in case of side impact intrusion. So this has all of that going for it. So Hyundai's sister brand Kia with the EV9 has really done a great job moving a lot of EVs. The EV9 actually sold, I think, 22,000 units last year, which bested their cheaper EV6 variant. So they've kind of found the sweet spot for what their customers want as far as an EV is concerned, the price point, the range, and of course now you implement in NACS. It is going to be interesting to see how this vehicle is perceived. To me, this is a better vehicle. Of course, you're paying a little bit more, but this is a better vehicle than the EV9. It has a lot of similarities with the EV9, but I personally enjoy a little bit more premium feel to the interior, in addition to just the overall spaciousness and the aesthetics on the inside of the cabin as well. It just feels a bit more luxury. This starts $58,000 as I mentioned, EV9 closer to $54,000 I believe now. Of course, the incentives are in play for this vehicle for all of the Hyundai vehicles that are being built here in the US. So for now, you've got that $7,500 tax credit to go with it. So my thoughts overall driving this EV the entire day and getting a feel for exactly what it offers for the price point that it comes in at. Here's what I'm thinking. Base price $57,000, tax incentives for now bring you back down to the lower 50s. At that price point for up to 7 seats, 3-row SUV electric, that's pretty sweet spot to be. So you can't complain about that there. The charging, you're getting 350 kilowatt capacity, 800 volt architecture, vehicle to load charging, vehicle to grid. All of these put together, again, compelling package. So you're able to get, about 200 miles in roughly 20 minutes. So that's a win as well. Some of the things I'm not a huge fan of is some of the interior touches, at least with this particular trim. You see the kind of aluminum foiled sort of trim pattern. To me, it looks a little odd, it looks a little cheap. I love the vegan leather seats, the perforations, the heated and vented seats, the steering wheel, all of it feels premium, feels plush. So when you have all of these great things going for it, and then you take it away with a little bit of shiny plastic, that to me takes it down a notch. But you do have a head-up display, you have dual 12.3-inch screens here that are very responsive. Of course, you've got the Hyundai feature, the Hyundai Pay, I think it's called, where you're able to plug into just about any major EV charging station and automatically start charging because you already have your card on file. So it has that Tesla experience. And of course, with the NACS natively in now, you're also getting that supercharger access as well. So these are kind of the things that have held back a lot of EVs. I love that this EV has them. I wish the charger and the charge port was on the driver's side so you could utilize, at least more easily utilize, the Tesla supercharger network for those older chargers that have shorter cables, but it is the right step in the right direction. As far as performance, 0 to 60 is I think in the 8s for the base trim at 58,000. I wish it was a little bit more peppy than that, but I understand with a single motor and a big vehicle that's over 6,000 pounds, that's what you're gonna get. You hear those chimes, that's me going the wrong way as I'm trying to talk to you, so it's trying to reroute me into a different location. Here on surface streets, going over bumpy roads, again, suspension does a great job. At higher speeds, it did feel a little bit soft, and there was a lot of body roll at those higher speeds when I was trying to kind of engage the steering wheel a little bit. For me, at this price point of being sub $60,000, especially for now where you can get the $7,500 federal incentive, you're not gonna find a much better 3-row electric SUV out there for this price point. Of course, you can get up to the Lucids and the Rivians and features increase there, but even some of those vehicles don't have the features that you get out of the IONIQ 9. So it's going to be interesting to see how it performs against those vehicles. Because frankly, when you get up to those SUVs, whether it's the Gravity, which is the upper tier of it, or the Model X, which isn't cheap, they're not moving that many units per year. So if Tesla was able to come out with something like this at 58,000 versus 80 whatever thousand it is at this point, it would be interesting to see how many sales they could get. The EV9, as I mentioned, moved about 22,000 units last year. So with this vehicle being just negligibly higher in price, but I think offering much more features than the EV9, I'm curious to see how many more of these units it moves. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video of the Hyundai IONIQ 9. Like I said, Kim is covering the Cadillac Vistic unveil right now, so we'll have another video coming as all of these new electric SUVs hit the market over the next few months. Make sure you're subscribed. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you next time.